When you get your clock back and it's got its nice shiny clear coat on it, you're going to be ready for putting in your actual clock. To do that, you're going to need to get a few things from your instructor. Your instructor will have an actual clock mechanism and some other parts that you're going to need. What you're going to start with is your clock mechanism, a brass nut, and a brass washer. You'll come back up for your minute hand and your hour hand after you do this step. For this step, you are going to need to grab the needle nose pliers for your station. When you go to put your clock mechanism in, you're going to put it through the back, and you should have a countersink that you drew on, and you should see a few threads sticking out from the hole if you sanded everything correctly. If for some reason you don't, and you go to put your washer and nut on and it doesn't quite fit, let your instructor know and they'll help you get that cleaned out a little bit more. But you're going to put the brass washer on. You're then going to go ahead and put the nut on, and you're going to simply hold the nut, push it against the clock, and kind of spin that dial to start tightening it up. Now, you'll notice it has this little hanger part. That's going to be your back. Okay, you want that to be the top of your clock. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the needle nose pliers, and be careful not to mess your picture up, but you're going to hold that nut and you're going to spin this around. It does not have to be super tight. Okay, I don't want it to spin easily, but I don't want to over tighten it where I end up cracking it. So I use the pliers to hold, and I carefully spin the back. If it gives a little bit of a twist, that's fine, but it'll be a bit snug. Once you have that in place, you're going to go ahead and get your minute and hour hands and attach them. Once again, your instructor is going to have some minute hands and hour hands sat out. You're going to go ahead and grab one of each. You're going to notice that the hour hand has a large hole in it, and there's a couple little slits cut in there. You can go with the white side facing up or the black side facing it up. It's your call. You're going to see that it has this little white piece, and that's round. That's what this piece is going to go on, and you're going to very carefully line it up, and then on both sides evenly push it down on to the white shaft that's coming out. So once again, I make sure it's going down all the way, and you'll see white above it. Your minute hand is oval shaped, but this little silver part is actually oval. So when you go to put it on, you just kind of spin it around till it drops on. Once it gets to this point, you're going to take your clock to your instructor. They are either going to put on a brass cap or a second hand for you. But you're going to have to tell them whether you want a brass cap or a second hand. Now, when you come up to your instructor, you have two options. One is going to be a brass cap, and your instructor will put on a brass cap, and your clock would simply have a little brass cap on the end of it. Your other option is a second hand, which is going to be red. There's no other colors. But before your instructor puts a second hand on, they have to tighten down this minute hand, so they will put on a knurled nut onto the end. They will then add a second hand onto your clock. So you're either going to get a solid brass cap, or you'll have a third hand, which is your second hand. Your instructor will then give you a battery. The video is going to show you here how to set the time. With the battery, there's a plus side, there's a negative side, and you'll see back here when you look at it that there's a plus side and a negative side, so make sure your battery's put in correctly. But you need to move your time to noon or midnight. And with your battery in, you'll see your second hand ticking. But you're going to go ahead and move it to noon or midnight to make sure it actually hits noon or midnight. And then on the back, there's this little dial. And when I spin that dial, forwards or backwards, it allows me to adjust the time. And you'd simply look at the clock in the classroom and move your dial around till you get to the current time. Once you get to this point, you will have a reflective essay that you should have been filling out, and you will also have marked your grade on what you think you deserve out of a 100. So once again, you'll grade yourself on what you think out of a 100, put it with your essay and your clock where your instructor tells you to. Once they're graded, you may take them home. So once again, you can take them home, but try to remember to bring in your lab fees if you have not done so.